Horrific allegations of racism prompt California lawsuit against Tesla, warning the story quotes several racist slurs already allegedly directed at black workers at Tesla's California plant, according to a lawsuit filed against the company. The N-word and other racist slurs were hurled daily at black workers at Tesla's California plant, delivered not just by fellow employees, but also by managers and supervisors. So says California's Civil Rights Agency in a lawsuit filed against the electric vehicle maker in Alameda County Superior Court on Thursday on behalf of thousands of black workers after a decade of complaints and a 32-month investigation. Tesla segregated black workers into separate areas that its employees referred to as, I'm not going to read that first one, the dark side, the slave ship, the plantation. The lawsuit alleges only black workers had to scrub floors on their hands and knees, and they were relegated to the Fremont, California factory's most difficult physical jobs, the suit says. Graffiti including KKK, Go Back to Africa, the Hangman's Noose, the Confederate flag, and N-word were carved into restroom walls, workplace benches, and lunch tables, and were slow to be erased, the lawsuit says. Tesla responded to the lawsuit filed by the Department of Fair Employment and Housing with a blog post saying that the agency had investigated almost 50 discrimination complaints in the past without finding misconduct, an assertion the agency denied. A narrative spun by the DFEH and a handful of plaintiff firms to generate publicity is not factual proof, the blog post said, adding that the company provides the best paying jobs in the automotive industry at a time when manufacturing jobs are leaving California. Sounds like a load of shit to me. The lawsuit comes in the wake of Tesla's billionaire chief executive, Elon Musk, moving the company's headquarters from Palo Alto to Austin, Texas, where he is building a major new assembly plant. You know, Austin, Texas is also right to work. Austin, Texas is also at will employment. I wonder if there's a reason why he's doing that. The state's lawsuit suggests the relocation to a state known for looser enforcement is no coincidence, declaring it to be another move to avoid accountability. Right. Not only were Tesla's black workers subjected to willful malicious harassment, but they were also denied promotions and paid less than other workers for the same jobs, the suit asserted. They were disciplined for infractions for which other workers were not penalized. In an interview, DFEH Director Kevin Kish said the lawsuit is the largest ever brought by the state for racial discrimination in terms of the size of the affected workforce since the agency gained prosecutorial powers in 2013. Hopefully this is good for these workers. And they actually get something solid out of this. I mean, nobody should have to go through this shit in the first place. You know, nobody wants to go to fucking work anyways, but then they have to go to work and deal with this kind of fucking bullshit. A load of shit, man. These are the fucking... Our biggest employers are fucking horrible. Or to make Tesla seem worse than it already seemed, but props. Before that, complaints were handled by an agency administrative law judge rather than in court. But as more employers have forced workers to sign arbitration agreements, preventing them from taking complaints to court, government has the only effective enforcement mechanism to remedy broad, pervasive violations in a workplace, he said. We hear a lot about structural racism. This case is very focused on segregation, the structural barriers to equality for black employees. Most of the agency's complaints involve individual workers or small groups, and racial complaints are on the rise. In 2016, the agency investigated 744 cases. By 2020, that had grown to 1,548 cases, Kish said. The economic and political stakes of taking on Tesla are hard to exaggerate. The company has drawn praise for providing people for proving people will buy electric cars when most of the auto industry was saying that it would be impossible. Although competition is growing, it's still the top-selling EV brand worldwide. In 2021, the company said it delivered 936,172 cars, 87% more than in 2020. Tesla markets its vehicles to the environmentally conscious, socially responsible consumer, the lawsuit states. Yet that masks the reality of a company that profits from an army of production workers, many of whom are people of color working under egregious conditions. Tesla's Fremont factory is the only non-union plant in the U.S. operated by a major American automaker. California's crackdown on the car maker, which has 36,200 employees in the state and 80,000 worldwide, has been a long time coming. Black workers' complaints of racial harassment and discrimination at the Fremont plant, which employs 15,000, date back to 2012. Black workers make up 20% of Tesla's factory assemblers, but there are no black executives, and just 3% of professionals at the Fremont plant are black, the lawsuit said. So in 2017, okay. A class action lawsuit was filed against Tesla on behalf of 1,000 black workers. They've interviewed more than 100 who make claims similar to those in this week's DFEH lawsuit, but the private lawsuit still in court covered only workers employed by staffing agencies that did not make them say, oh, nice, they didn't have to sign the arbitration agreements. Or maybe the company could stop being fucking pieces of shit to people of color. Like many companies now, Tesla requires its directly hired employees to sign arbitration agreements relegating any complaints to secret proceedings with private judges and without any option to appeal. After the 2017 class action lawsuit, it also required its staffing agency workers to sign agreements waiving their rights to go to court. Government agencies are not required to respect arbitration agreements, which opens the way for California's broader lawsuit. The lead attorney in the 2017 suit said his firm, which specializes in harassment cases, has seen a marked rise in race-related complaints in the last 5 years. His firm handled 2 or 3 such cases in a decade, and now has 30 pending cases involving the N-word. Jesus. Oh, government agencies are not required to respect arbitration agreements. That's why the state was able to sue over this. I didn't catch that earlier on. Ever since Trump started running for president in 2015, there has been this change in attitude by people who harbor racist thoughts and racist beliefs, he said. They think that they can speak out and say whatever they want to say. That's accurate. I've seen that. It is a lot different. Besides N-word, harassment at Tesla, according to the DFEH lawsuit, included slurs such as monkey toes, banana boy. God, dude, these are fucking horrible. Hood rats, mayate. But the Tesla cases are very unusual, Oregon said, because Tesla doesn't enforce its alleged zero tolerance policy for racist conduct. Yeah, he had sued the auto plant, which occupied the same factory before Tesla, many times for employment cases, but never for racial harassment. At Tesla's Fremont factory, black workers' complaints were ignored or perfunctorily acknowledged and then dismissed by management, the lawsuit alleges. Those who complained were subject to retaliatory harassment, undesirable assignments, and or termination. Yeah, Odd Gen, they should do better, shouldn't they? Musk, who grew up in South Africa, responded to the 2017 class action lawsuit, which called the company a hotbed of racist behavior, with an email to employees describing company culture as hardcore and demanding. Anyone who makes an unintentional slur should apologize, he wrote, and the recipient should be thick-skinned and accept the apology. What the fuck? In October, a federal jury in San Francisco awarded a black elevator operator at Tesla's plant $137 million in a harassment case. A judge signaled in January the award may be reduced, but did not grant Tesla's request for a new trial. Jesus. The last 2 years, a period during which Tesla's stock prices soared, have seen a major uptake in racial and sexual harassment suits against the company. At least 167 have been filed since 2006, according to Plainsight, a court document transparency organization. At least 5 have been filed in the last 6 weeks. One was lodged by a female black employee who said her female white boss struck her with a hot grinding tool and called her stupid and the N-word and insulted her intelligence. The suit says the supervisor was fired but later rehired. How the fuck do you Dude, he inflicted physical harm upon another employee. You don't fucking rehire somebody that does that shit. What the fuck are you thinking? These are supposed to be the fucking geniuses? What the fuck? This is no-brainer shit. Another was filed by a man who said he wrote directly to Musk to complain about racial harassment and then was told to report to Human Resources where he was fired. Tesla hired most workers through 14 staffing firms to avoid responsibility, the state lawsuit asserted. The car maker declined to investigate complaints by staffing agency workers, although most of the black workers were employed by staffing firms. Staffing firms were also an issue in 2 large race discrimination cases brought by the Federal Equal Employment Opportunity Commission involving hundreds of black warehouse workers in the Inland Empire. I mean, it's perpetual with Tesla. This is systemic. A Moreno Valley case against Ryder Integrated Logistics and its staffing firm, Irvine-based Kimco Staffing Services, charged that at least 121 black workers were frequently subjected to the N-word and other slurs by fellow workers and managers and exposed to racist graffiti in the restrooms. Assembly lines were segregated by race, with black workers and Latino workers in separate work areas. The 2 companies failed to investigate and retaliated against workers who complained, the EEOC said. The suit was settled in May for $2 million. The companies were required to create a tracking system for discrimination, revise its policies, and submit to stringent outside monitoring. A similar EEOC lawsuit in Ontario against Cardinal Health, the giant medical distribution company, and its Glendale-based staffing agency, Apple One, was settled in July for $1.4 million and requirements for stringent policy and monitoring rules. The case involved frequent N-word harassment, graffiti, and job discrimination affecting hundreds of black workers. Are we surprised? Are you not entertained? Dude, what the fuck, man?